This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Hey, what's up guys? Will here. Welcome back to Modeling from the Ensign's Chair. This is episode 10 of the 1350 NX-01 Enterprise build. And when I left off last time, I was about ready to finish sealing this thing up. The saucer section is about ready to go. The only thing I had left to work on, which I think I finally worked out, is the lower sensor dome. And it's taken a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying things out. Trying different layers as far as the painting and that to try to get it to light up as close as possible to what the CGI model lower sensor dome looks like. And it's hard because there's things they can do with in CGI that are going to be kind of hard to duplicate in real life on these models. So I think I've got it pretty close. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know how it's going to show up on video, but we'll take a look at it. So give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. Alright guys, so here we are. I've got the lower sensor dome wired up to the battery for now just to test it out and kind of show you what it looks like. I'm going to pull the camera down. Sorry, I ain't trying to make you guys dizzy again, but it's easier to do it this way than mess with the battery. So we'll see how this shows up on camera. But I think you can see on the camera it looks like it's got a little bit, just a slight green tint to it. I know it's kind of washing out in the middle, but that's because in order to get it to look the way it does on the CGI, that middle is supposed to be pretty bright, and then it's supposed to kind of fade out going towards the edges. I think that's duplicated pretty well. It's showing up a little bit greener on camera than what it looks like in person. And actually, I didn't use any green at all on this. That is just a light coat of the Tamiya yellow, transparent yellow paint. And I'll show you what I did here. Get my camera back up. Hang on one second. One of these days I'm going to get me a new camera set up. But what I did here was, well, first let's talk about this part here. So I took the lower sensor dome and I tried out different ways of doing it. I tried doing the yellow, the Tamiya fine white primer first, and then doing a light coat of yellow behind that. And it just didn't turn out very well, so I stripped it all back down. I did a light dusting of the Tamiya clear yellow first, then did Tamiya fine white primer over that. And I just checked it to see, what it was looking like, and what I did was I came back over again. You can probably see a little bit of that yellow there if the camera's picking it up. But I came back over with just a little bit of yellow again. And I think that finally did it. It actually turned out pretty well. Like I said, you can see it looked like a little bit of a green hue, but there's no green in this at all. This is just yellow with a layer of Tamiya white in between. So it's a misting of Tamiya clear yellow. Then I came over with a light coat of the Tamiya fine white primer, and then again dusted it again with the Tamiya clear yellow. So that turned out well. The problem I ran into was when I put it in here, the warm white lighting I used for the interior was making this turn really yellow. It was looking way too yellow, and I wasn't getting that hot spot in the middle. And I've got to finish painting this piece in the middle here, so don't worry about that. But I wasn't getting the hot spot in the middle like it shows or like it looks like on the CGI model. So what I ended up doing was I took a piece of plastic and light blocked it on the back, and what I did was I hot glued a small white SMD to the center of that. And what I'll do is, once I fit this piece inside, I'll center that SMD, this piece, over top of it. And what I'll do is I'll wire this, and I'm using a 1000 ohm resistor on this. I tried a couple different ohms, a couple different resistant levels, all the way up to 10,000 ohms, and 10,000 was way too dim. Dropped it back down to 1,000, and I think that turned out perfect the way it looked. Let me see if I can get this to light up again while I'm holding this. It's gonna be a little tricky. Oop, hang on. Got that. Alright, so that's what we got. You can see that hot spot in the middle is coming through real nice. You got that light green, just a slightest green tint to it around the edges, and the camera's picking up more of that green. Like I said, there's no green in this at all, so it's kind of interesting that that's looking a little green, but it's definitely not as green as what the camera's picking up. So I think it turned out pretty well. I think it looks pretty dang close to the way it should look, the way the CGI model looks. So I'll get that installed, and we'll come back, and I should be ready to start sealing this up. So I'll get that installed. I'm going to start sealing this up. There's really not a whole lot to sealing it up. It shouldn't be. Everything should go. When I've done the test fittings, everything's gone together pretty well. I do need to sand the around the edges here where it's going to make contact with the top and bottom parts. That way I get a nice, good, solid fusion to it there. You know, I don't have any problem just popping back open later. So give me a little bit. I'm going to work on that, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at where I'm at once I get this thing all put together. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. So here we are. Everything is hooked up. Everything's installed. The only parts I've got left are external parts, and I can't put those on until I get the saucer sealed up. So that's what we'll start working on now. But everything's looking really good. I like the way the lower sensor dome turned out. It looks really good compared to what the CGI image shows. So, and you see I've got the nav lights on both sides hooked up and working now. So everything's good to go. Next step is to start sealing her up, and then I can start looking at attaching the final parts and start doing the light blocking I need to get done. So give me a little bit. I'm gonna work on that, and we'll come back, and when we come back I'll have it have the saucer section all sealed up. So stay tuned. Alright guys, she's all glued together now. I've got my clamps clamped around in different spots holding it together. I'm gonna let her sit overnight, and tomorrow we'll see how it's looking. There's quite a few gaps that I'm noticing already, especially where this back end connects to the rear of the saucer here. But what I did was I tried to lift this up some to make sure I try to get these pylons as in line with the saucer as possible. And she looks pretty spot on. So should be good to go there. She's looking like she's in line with the saucer, and both pylons are in line with each other, so it's all looking good. And but like I said, I've got a lot of seams that there's a couple big gaps, especially back here where this goes together, where it's not quite, even though it's touching, it's not quite lined up where it should be. So gonna have to do some work there. I notice I've got a couple spots where some light leaking around the edge of the saucer here, but that was expected. So no big problems I'm seeing so far, at least nothing unexpected. So we'll let it sit overnight and come back and take a look at it. So we'll check back in with you in a little bit. Alright guys, here she is. She's all together. I've taken the clamps off, and just want to mention, if anybody's wondering, I use these clamps. They are, you can adjust the pressure on them, and I like using these better than the clothespin clamps, because the clothespin clamps you pretty much get whatever pressure they have, that's what you get. These I can adjust the pressure on in case it's a more delicate part I don't want to put a lot of pressure on. I can adjust them up or down, and they work out. They're only $1.99 at Harbor Freight, so you know they're not expensive at all. I picked up 5 more of these yesterday for like 12 bucks with tax. So I like them. They work pretty well. They're easy to use. They last pretty good. I've been using these 2 years, and I've had maybe 2 or 3 that stopped, didn't hold as much of a grip. So I replaced them, but $1.99 a piece, you know, it's not that big of a deal to me. So anyway, that's where I get these from. If anybody's wondering, Harbor Freight, $1.99. They're over where all the C clamps are. So you got those. But at any rate, Model is done just about. As far as the assembly, she's complete, except for I do have a couple of these smaller parts, a couple of these little satellite, little dish things that go on the sensors, and these rings that go around the docking bays or docking ports. I've got to put those on yet, but I don't want to put those on until I get closer to till I do all my light leak correction, and then I'm going to have to come back with probably some black paint with my airbrush and do some really thin cover, and then I'm going to have to come back and do some touch-up. So I got some work to do, and I don't want to have to worry about knocking any of those little pieces off or having to deal with, you know, masking off more than I need to. So got that done. I still need to repaint my little tower back here on the back, since I stripped it off. I didn't like the way it turned out before. It wasn't lighting up real nice. But remember, I cleared out that back part, so I think it's going to light up nice now. So I just need to repaint it and get that where I want it. And other than that, that's all done. There's a couple extra pieces here, some extra little window pieces and stuff. But everything else is in. The lighting system is done. The antenna controls, it's all complete. The only thing I have to do is, once I put this on the base, is I've got to run this wire down to the base and get that all wired up. But other than that, everything as far as the model is done with the wiring. The only thing I got left to do is, and this is the painstaking part, is go back. Now I've got a ton of light leaks I've got to fix up, and then I've got to do some painting and touch-ups and that. And the only thing I'm not too happy with is on this, I guess people have been calling this like a pontoon type. It's this connector here. This grid line is not matching up with the grid line on the back of the saucer section here. This one did. This one lined up nice, but this one's a little off, and the whole part in general didn't line up very well. So I might have to see what I can do to kind of mitigate that and get that sealed up. It's all glued together and everything, but there's a heck of a light leak around it that I'm going to have to work on. So, but anyway, I mean, she's all together. You can see from the back there. I'm going to turn this light off. A little easier to see. But see those impulse engines back there glowing, doing their thing. The cells look really good. And you've got these lights under the, I guess these are cargo doors here that I was talking about in the previous episode. I got those looking good. They're all lit up. And these little engines, these little, I guess these are like secondary impulse, or if these are like thrusters, I don't know. But those are barely lit up. They're not supposed to be very bright, but you're definitely not going to be able to tell they're lit up unless it's dark in the room. So could have put another LED back there probably, but that's alright. Like I said, they're not supposed to be very bright. We got these blue lights back here, but you can't really see them because of that light leak right now. Once I get that filled in and sealed up, those lights should come through a little better. And everything else is good. I did have, there's our dish on the front. And the pylons seem to line up pretty well with the saucer section. Don't seem to be pitched. If they are, they're very slightly, but not much at all, not enough to worry about. But they seem to line up pretty well. We've got that lower sensor dome, which just has the slightest green hue to it, which it should have. That turned out really well. I'm happy with that. Got that slight hot spot in the middle. Of course, the camera's washing it out, so you probably can't really tell much of it. But she's there. She's looking good. And the only other issue I had was when I sealed up the saucer section. And of course, after I sealed up the saucer section, I'm going to have this problem. This back nav light behind the bridge wasn't lighting. And I was like, well, great. I just sealed this up. So fortunately, I had not glued the bridge in place, and I was able to just pop this off like I just did, because I'm not going to glue it in place yet. And I was able to look in here through this hole and see that the fiber optic had pulled away from the LED. So I had to do some microsurgery with my tweezers, and was able to get a hold of that fiber optic and that LED and use some CA glue and just drip it down that fiber optic till it touched with the LED, because I had the LED and the fiber optic were in contact. They just had come loose at one point, and then of course they were hot glued together. So to glue them back together, I had to put the LED back against the fiber optic. I drizzled some CA glue down that fiber optic till it was contacting the LED, and then I just hit it with this Instaset, which Boyd calls Kicker, but it's the same stuff. It's an accelerator for CA glue, and it just like that, glued them together. So fortunately, I was able to fix that. I was able to get in there with my paintbrush and relight block it, so I didn't get flashing through my windows. And but fortunately, thank God, I was able to fix that, so crisis avoided. But I was a little concerned there when I saw that fiber optic had pulled loose, because I was like, well, how am I going to fix this? So fortunately, with a little time, probably took me about an hour total of fiddling with it to get it fixed. But she's all fixed up now, and this is a really nice model. I like this model, which is why I've got 2 more kits waiting for my personal builds. So at any rate, she's done. For that part, it's going to take me a while to do the sealing up the light leaks, and I got to come back with probably some black in my paint, do some thin lines with black to fill in or black out some of these light leaks after I fill them in. And then of course with that, I'm going to have to come back and do some touch-up work with the base coat and all that, and blend it in with my titanium gold that I'm using to kind of give this a little bit of a brownish look. So at any rate, that's where I'm at with it, and she's all good to go. So I just want to say, now wrapping this episode up, I had some people ask if I was going to take on some more commission builds, and I wasn't too sure about it. Like I said, I kind of took this build on to see if I could enjoy building models for other people, and the one thing that coaxed me into doing this was because it's the NX-01. I hadn't built it yet. But I love this ship design. I think it's a great, sleek looking design. And Brian offered it to me, and at first I was kind of hesitant. And I told Brian, well, you could probably find somebody that's better skilled that has already built one of these to do it. But if you trust me to do it, I'll do it. And my only thing was, I told him I would keep a NX-01 in the box for him, just in case if it's messed up and he didn't like it, he'd have his model back and it'd be no loss. So. But I think it's turned out really well. I think Brian will be happy with it. And what I'm waiting on now, other than doing all the filling in that, is some decal work I got to do. A lot of decals. Right here, if you haven't seen these decals, it's a lot of small decals. So I'm going to have my time with that. And also have somebody, and I don't want to say who because I don't know if they want to put it out yet. Some of you could probably figure it out. He may not mind, but without him saying, I can put it out. I don't want to say who's doing it, but we've got a set of Aztecs for the 1350. Right now, there's none out there. There's none. A Creation had a set. They stopped producing them, so really your only option that I'm aware of for the 1350 is to do the paint masks by Aztec Dummy, and it's just one color. But I can tell you that these masks that have been worked on are going to rival, if not supersede, the A Creation decals that were out. I've seen some work on it that he sent over to me to look at, and they look spectacular. They've got the multiple shades of the Aztecs, so you don't just have that one that one color for the Aztecs. It's going to be multiple colors for those panels. So they're looking really good. Don't know how long. It's a painstaking process that he's working on, and I appreciate that he's working on it, getting ready to put these out for everybody. So hopefully we'll get those and be able to put those on here for Brian, because it's going to be a little bit of work yet for me to get this to where I'm ready to do the decaling and that. So at any rate, hopefully those decals are coming out soon. If I get word that I can put out anything official on it, I will let you know next episode. Don't know if I'll get an episode out next week because there's so much work I've got to do with touch-ups and filling and light leaks and all that. So we'll see how it goes next week as far as my time on being able to work on this. And if I can, I'll put a video out of next week, or an update at least, and see where we're at. But other than that, guys, I appreciate everybody that's been watching these videos. And if you enjoy watching these videos and you get some use out of them, please hit that subscribe button below. I appreciate everybody that's subscribed and that regularly watches these videos and goes through the pain of watching me and listening to me speak. But at any rate, man, I appreciate you guys watching these videos and the feedback I get on it. So please, if you don't want to subscribe, you don't have to, but please at least hit that like button below. Maybe leave a comment, let me know how I'm doing. But until next time, guys, keep modeling.